This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. If you click on the link in the description below, it'll take you to their store and they'll know I sent you there.
From Innistrad to Shadowmoor, what spooky top 10 does Nitzahone have in store?
Hi everyone, I'm Nitzahone, and it's Friday, and that means it's time for another MTG Top 10, the series where I rank cards based on their historical performance at Magic's highest level of competition. As you probably guessed from the intro to this video, this is a Halloween-inspired MTG Top 10. I love the fall and Halloween. I'm the kind of person who actually likes all the pumpkin spice stuff, and I pretty much celebrate the holiday all month long. As you know, if you've been a subscriber for a while, this even affects content on my YouTube channel. This year, every Friday in October will feature a Halloween-themed MTG Top 10, and that includes today, which is October 1st. It just so happens that the most recent Magic set, Innistrad Midnight Hunt, is a super spooky one, so it's a great topic for a video. Innistrad is certainly Magic's spookiest plane, given that it is inspired by Gothic horror, and is thus a realm of vampires, zombies, and werewolves, as well as a ton of other spooky things. Innistrad sets always tend to have great flavor, so I wanted to spend this video talking about the 10 Innistrad Midnight Hunt cards that have the best flavor. Obviously enough, this list is entirely based on my own opinion, and for each of these cards I'll talk about what I like about their design and why I think they effectively convey a specific story. Any card that was printed either in the Innistrad Midnight Hunt main set or the Commander decks is eligible, provided it isn't a reprint. Delver of Secrets is one of the most flavorful cards around, but it's a reprint, and thus it's not eligible for this list. Alright, let's get to the top 10. At number 10, I've got Vengeful Strangler, the first of several double-face cards to make this list. Double-face cards made their debut in original Innistrad, and we get to see more of them every time we go back, and I'm super happy about that, because they make for really neat designs, and generally, they're great for conveying flavor too. You can do so much with them design-wise to make a permanent that can exist in two very different states, and that's what we have going on here. On the front, we've got a murderer, a strangler even, being executed. He can't block, probably because his hands are tied up, but as the art and flavor text show you, he's giving a really scary look to the executioner while his hands twitch, likely with the desire to strangle him. When the creature dies, it transforms into Strangling Grasp, which shows us that, one way or another, the strangler got vengeance on the executioner. It isn't exactly clear how this went down, but I like to think that the strangler was so hateful and evil that he was able to manifest his desire to kill the man. On top of all that, the effect of the card is a pretty good expression of strangulation, as it slowly harms you until you die. At number 9, I have Curse of Leeches. This card has Daybound and Nightbound, and flavor-wise, this conveys the fact that this being exists in different states depending on the time of day. During the day, this is just a curse, one that drains the life force of the person it's attached to, but at night it turns into a full-blown leech horror. I think the flavor here can work both ways too. Maybe someone encountered the leech at night, and it bit them and infected them with the curse, or maybe someone was afflicted by the curse during the day, and once the curse had drained enough life force, it could manifest itself as a leech horror. Either way, the flavor of this card is really on point in conveying what it would be like to be tormented by leeches, both big and small. At number 8, I have Matilda Dawnheart Prime. I mostly picked cards on this list where you can understand the flavors sort of organically without having to be aware of the lore, but there are two cards on this list where that isn't true, and one of them is Matilda. In the story, Matilda is really the human who comes up with the idea of turning to witchcraft in order to combat the evil forces at work on Innistrad. She gathers a bunch of humans together at the Harvesttide Festival with the plan of using this magic to fix things. In short, she's able to help empower humans, something conveyed here with their ability to tap for mana when she's in play. Additionally, humans are more powerful in large numbers, and once you get enough of them, those humans can use all that mana to power themselves up together. The magic is meant to protect humans from the monsters on the plane, so it also makes sense that Matilda has protection from werewolves. At number 7, I have Grafted Identity. We see mind control effects a lot, and they're already pretty flavorful, as they allow a player to gain complete control over something. But this is an interesting spin on that. As you can see from the art and flavor text here, the idea is that you're taking the face and or identity from another being and grafting it on to one of yours. The card's effect conveys this by having you sacrifice one of your creatures to gain control of an opposing one. The one you sacrifice is the one who has their identity replaced by the card that you steal. At number 6, I have Bereaved Survivor. This creature starts out as someone mourning the death of a loved one. In the art, she is visiting the grave of the person she lost, and the flavor text tells us of her challenges in dealing with grief, especially because Avacyn is no longer around to help. Ultimately, though, she decides to avenge the death of her loved one. This is all really clear from the card since the survivor can only transform if another creature dies. That's the in-game version of this woman losing her loved one. She then becomes interested in avenging her and becomes Dauntless Avenger. The flavor text here lets us know that another angel, Sigarda, helped her become this Avenger, and in this state she becomes a more formidable fighter and one capable of returning the fallen to the battlefield. At number 5, I have Champion of the Perished. To fully understand how awesome the flavor is here, you have to see a card from original Innistrad, Champion of the Parish. Back then, he was all about protecting other humans in his parish, and when other humans came into play, he got more formidable. However, the time between original Innistrad and Innistrad Midnight Hunt has not been kind to this guy or his parish. As the flavor text tells you, his whole town was slaughtered at some point, but now they've come back to life as zombies, and his new ability is a zombified version of his old one. Now he likes it when other zombies come into play. This card does an interesting job of telling us that Champion of the Parish is the same guy he was before, just, a zombie. And it also shows us how bad things have gotten on Innistrad since he was alive the first time we visited the plane. At number 4, I have Eloise Nephalia Sleuth. This is a great top-down design for a detective. Clue tokens are something we saw show up in our last visit to Innistrad, so it makes sense to make a detective legendary creature who does stuff with clues, since, clues help solve the mystery. She gets clues from creatures dying, which makes sense. If you're trying to find a murderer, following a trail of corpses is a good way to do it. In the art, she's even closely examining an eyeball to drive that point home. She can also get some extra value out of those clues too, since when they're sacrificed, she can also surveil, giving her even more information. At number 3, I have Lind, Cheerful Torturer. She has a really cool design. She likes curses and can even put them on herself from your graveyard. Then she can give them to other players and derive benefits from them. The reason for this interesting design can be found in her lore. She was always into curses and tried to curse an individual that was more powerful than her, and instead she received a curse placed on herself. The curse granted her with an incredibly long life, but also a series of horrible things, including flashes of pain and terrible luck. Eventually, though, she realized she could take the curses afflicting her and give them to other people temporarily. This not only gave her relief from her own torments, but also allowed her to torture others, which she was happy to do. That's why Lind has to put curses on herself before she can give them to someone else, and when you do, you get to draw 2 cards. At number 2, it is Heirloom Mirror. The story here is pretty evident, and that's part of what makes the flavor so good. On the front, you have a mirror with a pretty scary silhouette in it, and the flavor text says, "Speak my name thrice and be rewarded." This is a reference to supposed rituals involving figures like Bloody Mary or Candyman, and they involve speaking into a mirror and saying their name multiple times, resulting in those scary figures appearing. Fittingly, in this case, you have to get 3 ritual counters on the heirloom mirror, and you do it by repeating the same act. And once you do it, the demon emerges from the mirror, and based on the flavor text, it kills the person who summoned it. And at number 1, I've got Hostile. How could this not be number 1? This card is on point in pretty much every way. It has a humorous name in addition to amazing art and incredible flavor. This card is based on the very common trope of a haunted house, but it takes it to new levels. At first, it's just a really creepy building. To transform it, you have to sacrifice creatures and give it soul counters. Once it has enough souls, it transforms into Creeping Inn, an apparently sentient being with the house for its head. It then consumes the bodies of the dead and can drain the opponent and even phase out. The phasing probably represents the fact that it can look like an ordinary house whenever it wants to. I think I like this card extra because of the Monster House vibes. That's one of my favorite Halloween movies, and it's a pretty underrated one too. Well, those are my picks for the 10 most flavorful Innistrad Midnight Hunt cards. What card in Midnight Hunt do you think has the best flavor? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and a share too. If you want to make sure you catch future MTG Top 10s, including more Halloween ones coming through the month, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to catch up on past MTG Top 10s, including a bunch more Halloween ones, you should see some playlists on your screen shortly. Thanks for watching.